Hello, dear explorers, and welcome to my channel. I am Adela, an astrologer and gene keys guide based in Romania. And today I'm going to talk about the activation number 15. I say activation because maybe some of you are familiar with the gene keys, some of you are familiar with the human design. Doesn't matter, number 15 it is. Let's dive into it. Before I start, I must say I'm very curious if you have it in your profile, where in your profile do you have it, and please share your experience with it. I'm very curious in knowing and learning from you, as I hope you learn from me too. So I'll start by saying this activation is one that's very dear to me. I have it in my profile, in my human design profile. It's the placement of my Chiron, both my conscious and subconscious Chiron. And surprise, when I finished the Gene Keys Guide program, one of the exercises there was to choose or let yourself be chosen by a key that wants to be told to the world as your guide's contribution. So guess what was mine? 15. So I hope I'm doing my talk as a guide well, and let's dive into 15. So 15 is a gene key that makes this transition between Gemini and Cancer, and you will see in this gene key or this gate, you will see a lot of contradictions, a lot of, let's not say duality, but this kind of bridging between stuff, or yeah, a quite dual and contradictory nature in this 15. It's, I think, in all the zodiac systems, it's one that is on the cusp between signs, and this kind of being in two ways, I think it's very, very 15 like. If we talk in the Gene Keys language, this one goes from dullness, the shadow of dullness that we all know how it feels like, to magnetism, the gift, and the seed is fluorescence. And it's such a nice portraying of this kind of blooming, this flowering, this kind of spring-like energy that this activation has. And now I'll move because my cat wants to be with us in the video. So 15, from my point of view, it's one of the keys that has to do with this specific human nature. I think it's a very, very human key. It's one of the gates of love, and it's love of humanity and love of being a contradiction and being in many ways and being a human that's just in all ways. What I find fascinating about this activation is that you find people having Gene Key 15 in all places, in all kind of places. They might one day be in a super elite, sophisticated, I don't know, theater or cultural activity. The next day you will see them at a flea market, and the next day you'll see them at the beach. And this kind of experimenting with life and love and loving life and love, I think it's a very 15-like energy. And what I resonated with when I listened to the contemplation of 15, thank you, Richard, for the contemplation, I really enjoyed it, was this kind of enjoying life, that kind of seeing life as blooming and seeing life as a magnetic force of bringing in your life whatever you need and whatever you want. If we talk astrologically, because astrology is one of my my biggest passions, if we talk about astrology, it's the one making this transition in the European zodiac from Gemini to Cancer, from mind to emotions. And this dual nature, I think it's very interesting because it has that freshness of Gemini and that young and wild spirit of Gemini, and the deep and emotional and human-like connection of Cancer. So it's a very, very interesting and very profound key. In the human design, it's an activation that talks about love. It's one of the love gates, and it's a lot related to loving life. And people having this key, I think they are great teachers for themselves and for the others of how life can be lived and what being happy and being alive means. And two short stories I would like to share with you. One of them happened today when I just got caught up in a very storm, summer storm, and it was raining, it was pouring cats and dogs, and it got my hair wet, my clothes wet, everything wet, and I was, oh no, today I want to record the video about the 15 activation, and here I am after the rain with my hair still wet from the rain. Realized this experience for me was so nice and so alive, and it kind of brought me freshness and that kind of summery spirit. So I hope I can get some of the summery spirit to you. And I think this kind of enjoying rain on your skin and enjoying even this kind of contradictory weather the summer has, especially June when 15 is active. I think that's such an essence and such a good portraying of the spirit of this Jinki. And the second story is related to my earrings. I get a lot of comments related that the earrings that I wear, and when I bought these earrings, I bought them from a flea market, and I remember listening to the 15 and contemplating the kind of people that have Jinki 15. And I remember I bought these earrings in a flea market one day after I was at a very sophisticated art event. I finished the art high school, and just this portraying of 15 being one day in a certain place that's very elite and the other day being in a flea market, I found that very 15. It's considered one of the gates of extremes. It has quite extreme behavior, and I find it a very human-like key because it has this capacity to understand extremes, to understand poverty, and to understand having a lot of money, to understand elite-like people, and to understand, let's say, normal or day-to-day behavior. So I find it's a great key to just stay with and contemplate from a human-like experience. So I'm curious, very curious, how your experience with this one is. In the Vedic astrology, it's a lot related to searching. And if you look at the ring where it's placed, it's on the ring of seeking. So it's a lot, it has a lot of energy related to searching, and that happiness search gives. You search just because you love searching and because you love the quest of searching, not necessarily because you want to get somewhere with a search. And I think this is something we can learn from the 15. Enjoy life, stay in the rain, be happy that a summer rain comes, be happy that sometimes you're extreme, sometimes you're like that, sometimes you're like that, and see that beauty in connecting with people and the flowering and the blooming and the magnetism this gorgeous Jinki has. And if you haven't read the article, there is a great article on Unlock Your Design about the wild woman or the wild man archetype associated with 15. I won't go into details with that. Please read the article. But that kind of wild spirit, the raw wild nature, I find it so relevant for 15. So, dear sacred rebels, please let me know how you felt this one. I felt like sharing, just sharing from my heart and not making too academical or not making too, let's say, teachy, teacher like. I just wanted to share how I felt in this transit and how this energy feels for me. Blessings to you. Thank you for listening and feel free to share.